While this horrible situation has gotten a particularly high amount of attention, there are roughly 1,000 cases a year of a train derailing.
Basically saying, hey, this is just one of 1,000. I mean, why are y'all making a big deal about it? Making a big deal about it because people's air and water and soil have been poisoned. People were told to evacuate. People are in fear. They discombobulated over what just happened to them. That is why you need government to respond and to respond swiftly in situations like this. And he finally showed up though, finally came to East Palestine 20 days later. When asked about why it took him so long, this is what he had to say.
You know, what I tried to do was balance two things. My desire to be involved and engaged and on the ground, which is how I am generally wired to act, and my desire to follow the norm of transportation secretaries, allowing NTSB to really lead the initial stages of the public-facing work. I'll do some thinking about whether I got that balance right.
I'm glad at least he's thinking about whether he got that balance right. He did not get that balance right. You most certainly did not get it right because people need to know that you care about what they are going through. That's politics 101, even before you take any action. And as you stated before, there are thousands of derailments a year. Don't you think that should have been a priority the minute you assumed the role, the minute that your office was made aware that a train derailed that was carrying chemicals that has poisoned the water, the air, and the soil of a group of people? I mean, yeah, that means get there. That means make a statement quick and then to physically get there. Doesn't have anything to do with the other investigations that are going on. You got to get there. And for the neoliberals, this is a repeating pattern. Wait until a disaster happens, then talk about it. They never seem to take account. They don't even try to have preventable measures. The same goes for the GOP. We're not gonna let them sweetnesses get off the hook either. While the Secretary Pete waited and waited, the residents of East Palestine suffered and continue to suffer. Take a look.
I mean, I'm showering in the water, and every time I get a shower for 2 hours, it's like my body is on fire. Why have I never experienced that for the 44 years that I've lived in East Palestine up until this happened? And they're saying it's safe, but if it's safe, it is not a coincidence that, you know, all of these residents are having the same symptoms, the same things happening to them, and they want us to believe that.
She's not buying it, Jessica, at all. I want to thank Status Quo for their reporting on this.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I really like what you said about neoliberals, just making excuses for terrible things being the status quo. He uses like it as a reason, you know, well, there are many train derailments every single year. Okay, so day one of you getting in office, maybe propose some regulations, which is a part of his job to propose regulations in the form of legislation in the rail industry. And he didn't do that day one. He didn't even do that right after the derailment happened. And of course, there are a bunch of people making excuses for him, saying it's not his job when it is precisely his job, saying, well, this happens all the time. Great, you're the public official that can do something to make it different. And we hear this argument a lot that like, well, this is how it always is, but it's not a reason for it to stay that way. And if we can change it, naturally we should, if people are getting hurt and land is getting destroyed.
Yeah, say that, Jessica. You see how he eased that in. He wanted to follow basically the tradition of previous secretaries of transportation. That was their way to say something about Elaine Chao. Hey, if Elaine needed to be criticized for the job that she did, then she should have been too. The job, you know, it ain't to go backwards, it's really to go forward, it's to set the standard. And I personally have higher expectations. I would think that the Democrats would want to comport themselves at a higher standard than the Trump administration, but that's what they fell back on, believe it or not. I mean, it really is quite stunning that they did that.